Oh yeah, ready? Okay, thanks guys. We're ready to go. We're gonna do welcome to tonight's meeting. Appreciate it coming out. A great crowd. We got some great guests, and we appreciate their time. We'll do a roll call. I am here. Thomas Aceves, Tim Chiara,
Present.
Linda Alexander,
Here.
Lisa Benavides. Here. David Eby is not here tonight. Catherine Parakima. Here. Claudine Petrocelli. Awesome. So let's stand and we do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, in one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. We're now going to do the approval for the minutes. I'll be abstaining because I wasn't here. So, has everyone had a chance to read the minutes?
Yes.
Would someone like to make a motion
I make
to
a
approve?
motion to accept the minutes
Do we have-
as presented.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All approve? All in favor?
Aye.
All, any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. So next up is public input, up to 3 minutes per citizen to provide input on any item not on the agenda.
We have someone.
Thank you so much.
Tammy, Alexei.
Yeah, absolutely. Is the microphone on okay? And just state your name and proceed.
She's like, I'm following instructions. Hello?
Lights on. Test.
Hi, Tammy Alexei, Upper Lake resident, and also I work for the American Red Cross Community Adaptation Program. And I don't know if it was last month or the month before, but Lisa had asked about a program and that does an assessment or helps you to get prepared or to find out where your readiness is. And we have a program called Ready Rating. So I brought some brochures on it today. It's a free, easy, web-based program that allows organizations to use 2 proprietary assessments. So you can do a shorter one or a longer, more extensive one. And then it gives you feedback. So it kind of tells you where you are, gives you suggestions, and so on. So I have those here. I also, when I was getting the flyers, I was like, oh, you know what I should offer is maybe some night after a meeting we can do a hands-only CPR.
Oh.
It's not a certification class, but it's good to know. I was in a meeting in October, and Chief Cepeda said, you know, they go, well, is it really worth it to do hands-only CPR? And he said, we had a case, a guy out in at one of the wineries way out. No, the other way. No, maybe it was Six Sigma. Anyways, it took him a half hour to get there. And the guy's wife went down. He did hands-only CPR, no breaths, just compressions for 30 minutes. Got there, and his wife is alive today. So if you want that, let's set it up. Yes.
We did have a CPR class. Carol and Cecil, you guys were there, right? At the fire station here. But
It's only good for 2 years.
It's easy to forget.
Yeah, your CPR certification for full-blown CPR is 2 years, your certification.
Yeah, it's kind
So
of
this
fades
is
into-
hands-only. It's like 30 minutes, depending on the size of the participants. I bring these little buses, and you get to squish them. You do have to get down on the floor, but we can do that and get everybody at least, you know it, and it's one step closer if something does happen. So flyers for Ready Rating, I'll put them on the table. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next person.
Hi, John LaBueto from farming out here in Upper Lake. So the county road crew was out on Elk Mountain Road today, and they were clearing brush along the side of the road. They were using their large excavator with a big arm that has a mower, chipper, masticator on there. This is the first time that I've ever gotten to see this machine work up close, and it is a beast, an absolute beast. You know, and all I would say is that, it takes up the whole one lane of the road, completely takes up one lane of the road. I don't know how you get those guys to work with those guys, but that machine could make a lot of headway in the problem of overgrown vegetation that we have in the levees.
Ah, great. It's great news. What was that machine called again?
The beast.
A masticator, but this particular one is mounted on a regular excavator.
It's on an excavator equipment
With an arm, you know.
with an arm, yeah.
They just mow with that arm.
Nice. Margot?
Hello, Worth.
Hello.
Margot Kambara, Lake County General Plan Advisory Committee member, speaking for myself. The general plan is the county's constitution for land use, setting rules of the road for development in unincorporated Lake County. Your general plan and local area plan are being updated. Meanwhile, important decisions are being made concerning land use and water. Land use issues affect livability, health, and safety. These issues emerge in permit applications for commercial cannabis projects as concerns over water availability and cannabis odor. Community Development Department, CDD, will be presenting its amendments to the current cannabis ordinance on December 11th to the Planning Commission. Public input on concerns about the cannabis program has not been addressed yet. If you have concerns about the program, please submit a public comment to the Planning Commission and the Board of Supervisors. CDD's recommendation will go to the Agriculture Advisory Committee and then to the Board of Supervisors in January for consideration. CDD suggests the county conduct a programmatic environmental impact report to address cannabis, water, and odor issues. A programmatic environmental impact report can be a useful land use management tool. It is unusual that CDD's proposal presented to the Board of Supervisors only considers cannabis odor. Typically, this report considers many potential impacts. If the Board of Supervisors authorizes this report, there will probably be more discussion on its scope and other aspects. Lately, the permit applications before the Planning Commission have issues about water availability, wildfire road safety compliance, and scenic corridor setbacks. That may be of great interest to Worth. If you have concerns about water and land use issues, please attend or watch the recordings of the Planning Commission meetings. The meetings are recorded and are available to stream on PEG TV's channel on YouTube. I will send information to the Worth Board on how to submit a public comment and where to find agendas for the Planning Commission and Board of Supervisors meeting. This information can be posted on the Worth website. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi.
Just move the microphone. Just tip it, there you go.
Don't break it. Okay, got it. Hi, everyone. I am Katie DeVries, owner of Upper Lake Grocery, vice president of the newly reorganized Bachelor Valley Grange. And I'm here to just talk about the road safety on the highway in front of my store, Highway 20 and Main Street. Last Tuesday, there was a really bad car accident. Local gentleman, he gave me permission to use his name, Jim Wright, was going across the road. And a truck had stopped for him. The SUV behind him did not see him and plowed into the truck. Luckily, Jim and his dog were fine. But he pushed the button, the flashing lights were going, and still there was a really bad car accident. And, it was the middle of the day. I don't think these flashing lights are seen. And so I know CalWorks just announced that they're gonna do more pedestrian safety along the, the Highway 20 corridor. But I just wanted to see, how do we start the ball of getting like an actual red light to stop the cars when pedestrians are crossing the highway. This is probably the 5th or 6th accident that I've seen in the last year in front of my store that is just really bad. So I just wanted to come and complain about that.
Raise a concern.
Also, I don't know if I'll be here all the way to the announcements. December 6th is a holiday light parade in Upper Lake, 6:30
December
here
6th.
on Main Street. So please come out if you'd like to be in the parade. Show up by the high school around 5:30, and it's free to enter. So you just need to show up, fill out a form, and we'll get you lined up in the parade. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Ray.
Ray Frederick, Upper Lake. I'd just like to make an announcement that starting today, last week, you can mix your food waste into your yard waste can. Per solid waste systems, Lake County. But you got to remember, no plastic of any type. You can put chicken bones, hamburger buns, pizza boxes. And I brought a few papers here, let you know what can go in it. You might have to take a picture of it with your phone, but I'd like to ask the board if they could have somebody from solid waste come to the next meeting. I also heard that I listened a little bit of the board supervisors, and the garbage rates are going up first of the year. My opinion on that, you can save money if you throw your food waste in the yard waste can. For a lot of people that have a lot of parties during the summer, and you've got a small can, and you have a party and you fill that can up with food waste, paper plates, now you're going to get charged for the extra bag on trash day because you have no room in your trash can. So if you take that stuff and throw it in your yard waste can, you can keep your normal garbage going. But yeah, I caught that on the Board of Supervisors meeting. So if there's any way we can get somebody.
You say food products, so like, are we talking like milk cartons can also go in there? Oh,
Milk
okay.
cartons, no, because that has plastic on them.
Oh, I see, yeah, because they're filled with wax or something, right?
Anything with wax, you can throw paper plates, not some of the styrofoam paper plates. You can't
Right.
throw that, but
So biodegradable.
biodegradable.
Gotcha, okay.
Chicken bones, the kid didn't eat all his hamburger. You've got leftover spaghetti. Basically, food waste. But they can explain to you more. They're more qualified if they have somebody come out and let you know. So that's it for this month. Thank you.
Thanks, Ray.
Thank you. Hello.
Walt Christensen, I'm a representative for the North Shore Fire District, and I'm also sitting on the levy committee. I'd like to take this opportunity to give you a quick update on the levy committee that Caltrans extension project is on hold until engineering is completed and some gravel was taken out, and that's all we've got for the levy committee.
All right, thank you. I have a public input on the Caltrans. I'm Thomas Aceves from Nice, chair, but the Caltrans, as you've seen recently on Facebook advertising, some projects going forward next year. I called Mark Mueller. I'm also on the Public Pedestrian Bicycle Advisory Committee, District 1 for Caltrans. However, some of these projects were new to me, so I called Mark Mueller, who handles safe systems, safe roads. He's up in Eureka, and I talked to him briefly today to make sure what the timetable on this is. And it's all going to go out for what they call advertisement, which is also known as a bid, in March, and then it should be launched in the summertime. So all those things. The channelizers were being utilized up in a town, if you've ever been above Eureka, called Orwick. It's on Highway 101. It goes straight through, and they've tested them there, and they felt they were working. And those channelizers are those plastic, I don't know what you call them, a channelizer is a plastic tube that they put in the roadway. Now, their Still Complete Streets, which is their funding program for calming the traffic, is coming in 2030, 31. However, these are a temporary furniture in the roadway to help calm the traffic with people not going through the middle lanes to race past us like they've been doing. And they feel this is going to be a temporary fix at this point. And I think it's a great thing because we're getting a lot of issues with that for years happening. And then they're going to have more, of course, you saw the other things going in as well. So the rapid flashing beacons, which are going to be more of those, and so forth. It's not going to be the full solution to all this, we know that, but it works. It's a partial solution to bring visibility to people. And then Katie, going back to you on that one issue, I'm aware of certain elements of lights they can put up are very expensive. Of course, there's 3 of them. I don't have the names of all of them, but there's one that they have one in Napa that has a flashing, it goes on. They also have one in Sacramento area, Rancho Cordova, that we looked at on our call, and there's a different name for it, and it's actually it's like green, red, yellow. And that's working really well over there. I don't think that's on their plans for Upper Lake, and you probably are aware, but I can certainly bring that up next time to the Pedestrian Bicycle Advisory Committee, who has members. So that's me. So I'm done. Thanks.
I just wanted to add, is this on?
Yes.
One comment regarding how dangerous Main Street and Highway 20 happen to be. I was turning off of the next pedestrian indicator right by County Park. I stopped, and a big rig stopped on the other side. There was a gentleman trying to cross. The problem being that the cars from the other way just zoomed right through, and it was very alarming. And
Through the middle lane? Through the middle lane?
I was going to turn, and it was a straight lane. Yeah, they just kept going right through. So we need to do something pretty quickly, because that's another area where there's pedestrian traffic trying to cross. But if you don't have that whole line stopping, they could be mowed down by the cars going on the opposite side. So we need to do something.
Okay, Tom, and then we'll...
Hey, Tom. Tom Lasik. Just to add on about reducing the waste. I don't know if you're aware, but the CRV recycling every Friday over in Lakeport at the Bruno's Shopping Center. I think it's in the morning. I forget the exact hours, but you can bring your CRV there now. So, and it's every Friday, as far as I understand. I don't remember the exact hours, but you can bring up to 100 pounds of aluminum. You can bring it to, I forgot what the CRV bottles. Yeah, it's like 100 pounds for aluminum, 100 pounds for plastic, and like 1,000 pounds for glass. So it's another good way to keep it out of the waste stream and do your part to save money and help keep our community clean. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else in the room that wants to come up? Okay, anybody on Zoom? And then one more, Lisa? We have a lot of people on Zoom, but nobody's raised a hand? Okay.
I just wanted to bring to everyone's attention the public comment period for the Lake Pillsbury Scotts Valley Dam decommission has been extended. So you are able to still issue a public comment. The last I heard, there are a significant number of non-local people submitting comments in favor of decommissioning the dam. And so they really need to hear from local voices that we need that dam to stay and we need to save Lake Pillsbury. So in order to submit a public comment, if you wish to do so, you go to the FERC website, which is ferc.gov. And you're gonna search for the docket number P, as in Paul, -77-298. And then you can submit a public comment one way or the other in favor or not of the decommissioning the dam. I do just want to say, from my own experience, I saw today on Facebook California Trout Organization or something like that. They are spending a lot of money on Facebook ads to solicit comments in favor of decommissioning. So it is very critical right now for our local voices. We are small but mighty, and we need to make sure we are heard, that water is necessary.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, nobody on. I'm going to go ahead and close public input, and we're going to move to our first guest, Mr. Lars Ewing, Director of Public Works, Public Services. Let's give him a hand for coming down here tonight. Thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome. Good evening, everyone. It's good to be here. I just for a little local flair. I was born and raised here in Lake County. My mom was a art teacher here in Upper Lake back in the 70s and then in the 90s, I believe. For anyone that maybe took art up here, Bonnie Miner, and then Bonnie Ewing in the 90s. So, anyways, there's a special place in my heart, certainly for not just Lake County but Upper Lake. So I'm on the agenda for general discussion, right? Which opens me up for everything, and that's a little daunting because what everything is under the umbrella of the two departments that I oversee right now is quite a bit. So I thought what I would do is just to give a brief general overview of the departments that I manage, the responsibilities that they have. So you have. Maybe the areas of questions that you can focus on. I'm aware of a few specific questions. I'll go into those, or at least topics, and I'll leave it open to some questions there, along with maybe a comment on a few of the, actually quite a few of the public comments that were mentioned here. I think there's some things that I could add there. Just to set the stage for the two departments, I'm the Public Services Director for Lake County and have been for about 10 years now. Lake County Public Services includes 4 main divisions. We have, in no particular order, solid waste, which includes the county landfill in Clear Lake. We own and operate that. We also oversee the curbside collection services that was earlier mentioned with Lake County Waste Solutions in the unincorporated area. And we also have our hands in a number of recycling programs and diversion programs. CRV is one uniquely that we only force our hands into because that is a state program, and the broken program here at the state we have had to force our way into. When you pay CRV, that goes straight to the state. The county doesn't get any of that. So the broken system that the state has is unfortunate, and I think it's important to note that. So solid waste is one. We really call it integrated waste management. A second area, our division under public services, is parks and recreation. Really, those are two separate animals, but all county parks. We have a little over 24, and I say a little over because one person's definition of offered. We have built that up. We are hiring our first recreation manager. I think she starts next week if things go well. But over the last couple of years, we have put on quite in relative terms, a good number of recreation programs. We've had 2 successful kids camps, one at Lakeside Park in between Kelseyville and Lakeport, another one at Cabotin Park, and we're hopeful to expand and basically go around the lake and have them in unincorporated areas. So those were multi-day kids camps. Not last Saturday, but the weekend before, November 8th, we had what we're calling the Canocti Climb. It was a 5K fun run, and well, not just fun, it was competitive, but it was also fun for a lot of people. We had nearly 200 runners and walkers go up Mount Canocti. If you've been up Mount Canocti, essentially at the gate where you can't drive past, that was the starting line, and the finish line was up on Wright's Peak. So we, like I said, almost 200 competitors or participants, 40 to 50 volunteers, half of which were my staff, who, if some were not so much volunteers, but others did volunteer. They were not forced to do it, and they did it out of their own accord. So I really appreciate that. And we're ramping it up. There's going to be, we hope to have quite a bit more. The Board of Supervisors has been very supportive of that. But it certainly comes at a cost, but we hope to recoup those costs with event fees and sponsorships and such. Another area is buildings and grounds, so all the county-owned facilities. There's one gentleman in here who's very familiar with that because he retired from there. But county buildings, we have, depending upon what you truly want to classify as a building, we have 60 to 70 buildings around the county, almost 1 million square feet of facilities, and it's our responsibility to maintain those. And then the last division under public services to touch on is museums. 3 county museums operated by, the county facilities crew oversees the actual building, but the operations in them is a museum curator and her staff. And we have a historic courthouse museum here in Lakeport, in Middletown, Gibson Museum, and then in Lower Lake, Schoolhouse Museum. So that encompasses public services. Now, I'll transition to putting on a different hat, and that is Public Works. For the last 5 months almost now, I have been the interim Public Works Director. Back in June, the Board of Supervisors appointed me as the interim Public Works Director, and I've been doing that since then. I am still interim, not permanent, so if there are items on the public works side, keep in mind that my tenure does not go very far, but I'd be happy to do my best to answer your questions. But I will give a brief overview of the Public Works Department. The large animal there is county roads. Anytime you're thinking about county roads and people think about public works, they usually equate it with roads. Roads means the road and everything associated with that. That can be the bridges, the drainage systems, everything associated with that. So the county has, I don't have the exact number, but it's a little over 600 miles of roads in the unincorporated area. And of those 600 plus miles, we have a little over 400, I think it's 420 something of paved roads. So especially in the north part of the county, where we are here, quite a few dirt roads, as you know, and that's those are an entirely different animal to maintain than paved roads, but certainly important. There was reference earlier to the excavator. I'd like to come back and talk about that for a bit. Wherever the gentleman was, there he is. So also in Public Works, the airport, Lamson Field, falls under that. So really, Public Works is, you can kind of put it together that it's transportation based. It's really a department of, it is the Department of Public Works, but it's heavy on the transportation side. In other areas, Public Works might mean quite a lot, to include a lot of the items that I mentioned earlier in public services. But back to Public Works, roads, airport, the Lamson Field, small unmanned, small unmanned airport, non-towered airport is what I mean by unmanned. But it takes some effort to maintain it for sure. Very minimally funded, I will offer locally here, but we rely heavily on state and federal funding to do improvements. The day-to-day maintenance is on us, and then also in Public Works, there's an engineering division that helps support all of those. So I'm really not going to focus too much on the support roles. Really, it's the public-facing piece that I think is important to you, because there's also a central garage and fleet management that we have. But again, that's kind of a central service to county government. So the public it's not affected by that. So I won't go into detail there. The last thing maybe I'll do is just, I mentioned earlier a little bit about me, born and raised here in Lake County. And I mentioned the airport earlier. I was in the Air Force, so 98 to 2007. So I came back home, chose to come back home. I do have a degree in civil engineering from the Air Force Academy, but I chose to move back home. My parents live here. My sister lives here. My wife lives here until she chooses to not with me, I suppose. Hopefully that doesn't happen anytime soon. But it's home for me. So anything that you're saying, I take not just because it's my job, but because it's my home. So I think maybe I'll transition from there. I'll just mention the 4 items that were brought to my attention, and I can preempt that as much as possible, maybe to answer some questions that may be asked. But the 4 categories that were brought to my attention: crosswalks in front of the schools, Hammond Park improvements, 5-year plan of road improvements, and universal trash collection or mandatory garbage service. So those are the 4 areas that I'll touch on briefly. Coming back to some of the public input topics. First off, the excavator. Again, I've been with the department for about 5 months, but it is a mounted head, a masticator head on the excavator. It was purchased, as is everything in the road department, was purchased using gas tax funds, and that requires that equipment and the staff running the equipment spends their time on the county roads. Now, with that said, there is an opportunity to for the kind of the contracting of that equipment and potentially the staff by Water Resources. So I'll carry that back and talk to the Water Resources Director about that. Thankfully, the levies are not an infrastructure that falls under either of my departments. So I can't, and I don't mean that glibly. I mean thankfully, because it's, it would be an animal for me to maintain, and I'm not familiar with them. So I don't mean that as a knock. I just mean that I don't know much about them. But I will carry that idea back to the director, Pawan, and have that conversation with him, along with the road superintendent, who's certainly familiar with the equipment. Let's see, the pedestrian safety, Highway 20, I think Thomas addressed that very well. One other piece or suggestion there, it is a state highway, so that is not something that's within my area of responsibility or the county's area of responsibility. But one other resource that Thomas mentioned many, one other is Lake Area Planning Council, Lake APC, who has probably come here. I think they would be a good resource to advocate for additional improvements along Highway 20 on the North Shore, in particular, well, in Lake County, that pretty much is the majority of Highway 20, but especially between 53 and 29. That corridor is specifically identified as a pedestrian safety corridor, as you mentioned, and I think it would be a good opportunity for Lake APC to be made aware. Particularly John Spica would be a good resource there. Going back in time, this corridor is the Caltrans is really trying to reduce traffic along this corridor. That was a large driver for the Highway 29 improvements project that Caltrans completed a couple of years ago, one phase of it. But nevertheless, the idea is try to get traffic off of this route. But that's easier said than done. So I can certainly appreciate the desire to reduce pedestrian traffic and reduce vehicle traffic, but improve pedestrian safety through that corridor. Let's see, organics collection, I appreciate that reference. Yes, the Board of Supervisors just approved a contract amendment to Lake County Waste Solutions franchise hauler agreement to include organics in the green bin. So we're not adding a new bin. It's just, hey, use that yard waste bin to now throw in your food scraps. Sometimes it can be a little confusing about what goes in what bin, but if it's biodegradable, is a simple way to put it. Readily biodegradable, put it in that yard waste bin. So if you see plastic, that's generally not biodegradable, so keep it out. But a pizza box and anything that looks more organic than a pizza box, put it in there. The rates, it's important to note that yes, the rates were increased. New services like this require infrastructure. They require a lot of source separating at the material recovery facility in Ukiah, where a lot of the material goes, but also at Quackenbush Mountain Resource Recovery Facility, where they're now needing to manage that material differently. And historically, green waste was taken at no cost, and that was at a time when there was very little green waste being picked up curbside. It was nothing in comparison to the garbage bin. Well, now we're trying to reverse that, and so there's the operational costs of doing something for free have just been exhausted. So the state is really trying to push for organics collection. Really, what they're trying to push is diversion of organics from the landfill. That's the driver. It's not mandatory for Lake County, any portion of Lake County, incorporated or otherwise. But nevertheless, we're doing it on a voluntary basis, both for voluntary subscribers, but also voluntarily at the county level because we are not forced to within our franchise agreement, but the hauler was willing to, but they certainly had to take a look at the operational costs. So I appreciate, sir, you bringing that up. That's very good. And also the smaller can. If you can get by with a smaller can, that is a way to save rates. In particular, if you have a lot of organics going in, that's, put it in the other bin. CRV buyback. I touched on that earlier. I will just do one bit more. It is Lake County Waste Solutions is the contractor doing it, but the grant that they are using to manage this is a partnership with the county along with the city of Clear Lake and the city of Lakeport. And the reason that it's a grant is that CRV buyback is not a money-making operation for most operators. It used to be. But those that can recall back decades, 5 cents is what it was decades ago, and 5 cents is still what it is. So you can imagine that 5 cents does not go nearly as far as it did 20, 30 years ago. So there used to be buyback centers everywhere. Why? Because it was market driven. People could make money. Those operators could make money on collecting cans and getting reimbursed by the state. Now, by and large, they lose money, and especially in an area like this where the magnitude isn't there. And so they're shutting down. Out of recognition of that issue, Lake County Waste Solutions and the county and the two cities got together to try to solve, in a sense, the state's problem. The state thankfully did put out a grant program coming from the $1 billion that they have sitting in reserves of CRV buyback funds. They are sitting on $1 billion. And they released a very minuscule grant program with all sorts of red tape. So this program, we finally got rolled out after getting through the red tape, and the funding expires in April, so just a few months from now. And we are applying for an extension that they said is a maximum of 1 month. So here we are coming up with the solution to the state's problem. And then it will sunset in May of 2026. So we're looking for another solution, and I'll be talking to the elected officials to carry that forward, hopefully to Senator McGuire, who can carry that up and express concern about the imbalance of the state sitting on that much money and putting that much red tape on a program that could help solve a local problem. So with that said, as far as the public input, I'll go back to the few items. Maybe I'll start with, in no particular order, I'll start with Hammond Park. Hammond Park in Nice. The county, we applied for a state grant, and we received a state grant for improvements at the park. We received a grant for $2.3 million. The project is more expensive than that, and we contributed local general fund dollars to make up the difference. Project is underway, and I did bring a few notes, so just to make sure that I don't miss something, if you bear with me, I'll pull those out. The grant program, for what it's worth, Prop 68, for those that may recall, but was a statewide park improvement program. The project itself is 25%, the construction project is about 25% complete right now. Generally, they're working from north to south on the park. The parking lot area is prepped, ready for asphalt. Irrigation is in, solar is being installed currently, and the playground area is being prepped, and the estimated completion date is spring, well, I'll say estimated completion season is spring of 2026. So maybe I'll pause there. And before I pause, I did bring the construction plans if anyone is interested in looking at them. I will add that I grabbed them from the construction manager's desk when I left today when nobody else was there. So I would ask, I plan on leaving after my presentation here. So if there's anyone that would be coming into Lakeport tomorrow and could drop them off at my office, I would appreciate it. Dave, anyone? I'll be happy to leave them here. But I would ask that if we can get them back, I'll leave that in the chair's hands. So I will pause there on Hammond and maybe ask try to answer any questions.
Oh, Lars, I appreciate you being here this evening, and I'd kind of like to circle back to traffic safety within the school of Upper Lakes University.
So I haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, you haven't? Okay, I thought you meant, I'm sorry.
No problem. And
I
I'm
read-
sorry. Maybe let me. I'll tell you what. Why don't I go through the rest of them, and then we'll do
Okay.
it for open
All right.
questions. So
Gotcha.
and I think that might be more efficient. So I'll go finish the other three. So one of them, I'll just address that one there, and then move on to the other two, and then we'll open it up to questions. Crosswalks in front of our schools. It says that it's been a focus of the council for a while. And I can certainly appreciate that. Again, having been with the Public Works Department for only a few months, I don't have the answer, but the answer that I have, or an answer that I have, is that we do have, we have preliminary plans for crosswalk improvements at the school. I did bring those. To my understanding, it is not funded through the Highway Safety Improvement Plan or program. I only say that because Thomas may be familiar with HSIP, but anyways, it's a grant program that I need to do a little bit of digging, because I got a little contradictory information about whether that particular location and a few others is funded. But it was the scope of the preliminary improvements proposed is what's called a mid-block crossing, along with a bulb out of curbs, rapid, the flashing beacons that were earlier mentioned. And I will simply go to the plan just to make sure that I don't misstate the location. And there's two in Upper Lake that we had preliminarily planned out at a we'll kind of early engineering level, and applied for a grant. One at it's on Clover Valley Road between 1st and 2nd Street. So if I'm looking at this correctly, is that directly across from the school, right? Okay. The high school, thank you. Yes, yeah, Clover, yeah, there we go. 2nd Street and 1st Street. Sorry, I just needed to get my bearings. And then the other location is the intersection of 2nd Street and Elliott Street. So I do have, I mean, these are preliminary plans. Again, I can leave these here, but I will need to follow up to find out about the status of the grant application.
Right. Well, the problem being is the elementary is becoming extremely dangerous because we have a lot of pickups and drop-offs, and oftentimes there's excessive speed on 2nd Street. So between the 8 o'clock hour and the 2 o'clock hour, there is just massive congestion down there, and people are having, obviously the sidewalk on one side and it's not sidewalked on the other, but they're parking on the other side of the road and just darting across the street to get to their cars. And I'm so concerned that something might happen. And I have another question. What about speed bumps? I'd be really willing to purchase speed bumps to put on 2nd Street to slow down the rate of speed, not only during school hours, but the town is just becoming overcome with excessive speeding cars.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
it's a dangerous place, even on Main Street, downtown Upper Lake.
Sure. So I'm not a licensed traffic engineer, so but as a licensed civil engineer, I do have some exposure to this. Speed bumps, they oftentimes people might say, okay, put in a speed bump, put in a traffic, a stop sign. But in particular, a speed bump, it may solve one problem and create another. It's an impediment on a road, and it can cause some other problems. But with that said, there are speed bumps, there are speed humps, there are speed tables. If you're familiar with downtown Lower Lake, there are speed humps there. They may be tables. So I will look into that because that's a potential.
Because, like I said, I'd be willing to finance them. I'm that concerned about the speed on 2nd Street during school hours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I certainly don't want a student to be hurt or harmed by, somebody driving recklessly.
Yeah.
And one other side point. When Glenn March was here, I talked to him about the fact that there is a right-hand turn only coming out of the school, of the elementary school. So we were able to put up a stop sign because people were just going right out into traffic either way. And we were also able to put up no left-hand turns. Excuse me, right turns only, and no left-hand turns. Well, that's been helping, but not to the extent that it should be, because I see people just turning right into the oncoming traffic.
Okay.
And the way if you have the cars for pickup parking along the sidewalk area, if you're coming this way, you have to go off into the other side, to pass the cars. And there again, when people are crossing the road with the cars in view, in blocking the view, it's so dangerous that I just really hope that priority could be given to the situation.
Okay. When you say the stop sign,
We put it on private property. It's on the school. Yeah.
That's what I was getting at.
Right. It's on private property.
School property. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, and Glenn March isn't here anymore, so but I appreciate any information like that.
And one last question.
Mm-hmm.
There is a dangerous situation coming off of Middle Creek onto 2nd Street, and we petitioned for an emergency proclamation to see if a stop sign could be installed. We've had multiple accidents there as well, because the traffic just comes right around the corner into blocking the view of somebody that stops. So if that could be looked into it, I would really appreciate that as well.
Sure, I will offer that I did look into that. Supervisor Crandall called me a few days ago, and we discussed it, and I talked to the road superintendent, who looked into all the traffic records that we have. I had him go back 5 years, and I had him look on 2nd Street and Middle Creek, and in that 5-year period, he found 4, as far as CHP accidents, mind you. We're talking about just the accidents that triggered the level for a CHP report. And there were 4 accidents in 5 years, none of which were at that intersection, and so we are, it becomes, I'll just say, somewhat of a challenge to get certainly any additional funding, but we're talking about modifying some stop signs. It's not rocket science. So I've asked them to take a look at what are some changes that we can make. It may be as straightforward as, let's switch where the stop sign is. We can make, so we're going to look into that. But I do want to make sure that where I live, my home, I see speeding. It's near and dear to my heart. But I look back at the accident reports, and it doesn't demonstrate the need, and that becomes a challenge when we look at 600 plus miles of road, where every road is going to have something like that. But hearing it from a town hall, that's I take that with with great value, with great weight. So I'll carry it back. Not having an on-staff or even an on-call traffic engineer, we are somewhat limited, but we're getting there to get an on-call traffic engineer where we'd be able to say, hey, go evaluate this intersection. So that's in the works.
Lars, I have a follow-up question specifically on Middle Creek and 2nd. What can citizens do? Because you saying there's been, the record is 4 in the last 5 years. I can name 3 in the last 1 year. So what can we do if the CHP isn't being called for these accidents?
Yeah.
What can we do to ensure that they are being reported? Because I live on Clover, and I drive Middle Creek every single day, and there's always accidents, and there's always near misses. So what can we do to better protect our community?
Okay, well, the way you worded the last part is challenging for me to answer, but I will go back to how can the community help ensure that accidents are accurately reported by CHP? I would say that's a CHP, direct that question to California Highway Patrol. We, Lake County Public Works, are reliant on, as far as our accident report system, it is based on and reliant upon California Highway Patrol accident reports coming to us. So we receive them in batches, and it used to be physically, when I did work in Public Works decades ago, or a decade ago, they would come in physically in a pack. Now it's electronic, but still the same idea, and we go through them and we log them and we have records of them, and so that's what we are dependent upon. And so I think it would be what I would suggest there is reaching out to CHP to ensure that, that accident reports are completed. I'm not privy to what triggers the level of an accident, of an accident report being prepared after an accident. But that's what I would suggest there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, we need a microphone too. Hold on one moment. Before we do that, I'm sorry. I'll get to the public comment in just a second because I'm going to bring it back to the board for just a moment, and then. But Lars, if you can, I know briefly on the 5-year plan and this, a little bit about the universal trash collection is that, let me just preface that we have a District 3 combo meeting that we're doing now between all the municipal advisory councils. And one of the things we want to look at is the universal trash collection. If you can briefly, we were told, I believe by Supervisor Crandall, that maybe a pilot program we can roll out in Clear Lake Oaks. So if you can briefly comment on what your thoughts are on that, and then, of course, the 5-year plan, and then we'll go to the...
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Let's see. So the 5-year road plan. When I came into Public Works, again, as interim and still am interim, there was some stalling of road work being done by the road crew was being held up. I don't know how else to put it. I'm not trying to toot my horn, but basically how I solved that problem was just letting the leash go. The road crew, just at the superintendent level and the 3 foremen around the county, they have over 100 years of experience, direct road experience. Now that doesn't mean that comes with funding to pay for this for the road work, but they know what is needed to improve the roads. So they had a plan, and they needed to be release the hounds. So essentially I did that, and this summer and extended into the fall, the road crew was able to do what's called pavement preservation or essentially road repairs, significant road repairs on 37 miles of paved road around the county. Mind you, we have 400 plus miles of paved road, but we're at about 8% of the paved road network in the county in 1 year. That is, I would say, triple anything I saw in my time working in Public Works back in the early 2010s. They did a good year seemed like it was about 15 miles. There's a couple of factors at play there, but it's the road crew, the technology that they use, along with a new chip spreader. For those that know what a chip spreader is when you're chip sealing a road, so they can go out and they could do hundreds of miles a year if there was funding. The road crew is reliant on gas tax, and the amount of gas tax funding that comes into Lake County on a recurring basis, it's called Highway User Tax Account, pays for staff, the equipment that we own and have to maintain, and enough to do basically emergency repairs. We're talking pothole patching and vegetation clearing and maybe some other stuff that maybe is just staff based but not material based. Now there is to me a relatively new pot of money. It's SB1. For those that may have seen that, Senate Bill 1 was passed probably 10 plus years ago, and it brought with it thanks to a bond and the taxpayers of California paying into that, brings a new round of funding into our county coffers. So as best I can tell, we stand to receive and have received a few $1 million extra every year, above and beyond the amount that I talked about. So the 5-year road plan that Tom mentioned, or Thomas mentioned, is in draft mode. I'm planning on taking it to the Board of Supervisors. If I can get there in December, that would be my goal. It becomes a challenge with meeting schedules. Otherwise, it would be early January. But we have a 5-year road plan that spreads it around the county, and we'd be looking at about 35 miles every year over the next 5 years. And if SB1 funds continue, then it goes beyond that 5-year point. That work is, if you've been in, so if you've driven Soda Bay Road, this last year, the work that they did was focused in the Lower Lake and Kelseyville areas. They had done prep work the previous year, and so they built on that. And so if you've driven on, I'll just say Soda Bay Road. That's in particular through. Through the Clear Lake State Park area, I believe, was included there. It's a seal coat. I mean, but it's more than just the oil, right? And under that is a lot of prep work that the road crew does. So we're not talking about new roads. We're not talking about tearing them up and paving with 9 inches of base compacted and 3 inches of new asphalt and new sidewalks. And no, we're not talking about that. We're talking about if you own a home, we're talking about a repainting of your home. But when you do that, you prep it. Right, you're gonna seal up, put some caulking in the windows, and you're gonna fix some of the gouges, and so you get it ready, and you paint it, and doggone it, maybe you prime it, and then put a double coat on, right? And so so when you're doing that's the best way that I can equate what our road crew has done, and the 5-year plan. It looks like at the end of the 5 years, for those that there's an index to everything. What is the road condition around the county? It looks like there's going to be a significant uptick in the objective numbers of the conditions of the roads around the county. We should, if you're doing 35 miles of road over 5 years. I'm doing math right here in front of you, but we're what, in the 150 or 200 miles, right? 100, right? Right in the middle of that, right? So I that's making a significant dent. What I will say is that that's not every road, and when they do the work, they're doing it in certain areas, and it may not be in the your area may not be in the year that you want it to be, and certainly we have to balance that out. I will offer that the tentative plan right now does show in 2026 work in the Nice area, a significant amount of work in the Nice area. So that is the tentative plan. Keep that in mind. I would highlight and underline and bold that tentative plan, because we're still dialing that down. I have not seen a list of the roads, and we probably won't show that to the board, because those things need to ebb and flow. At this point, it's the general area. Now, above and beyond that 5 year, above and beyond the road crew doing pavement preservation work, there's plenty of other work that needs to be done. We have bridges to be repaired. We have we have road sections that are more than just a paint job on a house, for example, right? We have we have dilapidated barns that probably need to be torn down and rebuilt, to use that example. And so that becomes a challenge. So we're doing the best to maintain the good stuff that is maintainable, and then with the remaining funds, build it up and identify the areas that we really need to address. So it's a high level overview. I'll pause there, and if there's anything specific to that before I go on to the universal trash.
Anybody have a comment on the 5-year plan on the board or on the council?
I have a question, or I guess it's kind of both a comment and a question. First, I just want to say I'm really excited to hear that you're starting in Nice. Some of us did a patrol in Nice a couple weeks ago, and there are some roads that we were not in a little car. We were in a nice car, and we had to turn around because we could not drive through it, or we could at risk of not coming back down. So I'm excited to hear about that. My question is, that plan that you're doing, is it going to be open to public comment, or was there public comment received? Yes.
No, it'll be, okay. When we present it to the Board of Supervisors, it will be, it'll be that agenda item will be open for public input. Okay. Certainly, yeah. But mind you, you know, the list of roads at this point, we're talking about a 5-year plan, not a construction project where the board is approving the plans and specs for that specific work. It's more of a plan document.
All right. Any more from the board? Anybody else? Okay, we'll go to the.
Would you like me to move on to the universal trash before we
If you
take
can do
public?
it real briefly, because I know, just, is there a pilot program we can do for that?
So the universal trash, we looked at Clear Lake Oaks. So Clear Lake Oaks was a unique case for the county. The board established a roadmap task force, so let me just comment this. I know this is a lot of information and a lot of questions, but if you allow me to finish this, then maybe at the end we can come back to any one of those topics. I think that would be probably the best thing. So the universal service. So the board established the roadmap task force for Clear Lake Oaks, unrelated to universal service or trash. It was for basically enhanced services, code enforcement, law enforcement, and they used Clear Lake Oaks as a bit of a pilot. I would offer. Springboarding off of that, in discussions with Supervisor Crandall, my department looked at using Clear Lake Oaks, again, using that model of that as a pilot. We evaluated what would the effectiveness of mandatory garbage in Clear Lake Oaks, what would that look like? What would the effectiveness of it be? So we evaluated that this year, and the evaluation determined that there are already, of the viable parcels that could have garbage service, and by that I mean not a vacant parcel, right? But I'm talking about a property that has a habitable structure on there, either habitable on a residential basis or habitable on a commercial basis. Of those viable parcels, nearly 80% already subscribed to garbage service. So the added value of mandating garbage service, it was challenging to say let's take that step. Now, having said that, we haven't evaluated the North Shore. We haven't evaluated Upper Lake. We have some numbers certainly, but we haven't evaluated to the level that we did for Clear Lake Oaks. I'd be happy to do that, or have some of my coworkers do that in concert with Lake County Waste Solutions. But again, having 4/5 of parcels already subscribed gave me pause to take it to that next level. So I think that's probably a good stopping point.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Now we're going to go to public input. I'll give you 3 minutes. We are going to go longer tonight because we got a lot on the table, and I understand we got Zoom, but we're going to go to I think a couple hands in our room first, and I'll get to Zoom in just a moment. So thank you for your patience. Lars, thank you so much.
Yeah.
2 things I want to say before we go to the comments is I adopt Nice Cutoff to clean up, and I have a crew of people, including people in this room, and Lori Price has been continuously supportive of that program, and the road crew as well. I celebrate them. They pick up the garbage. They've never commented, and it's been a positive thing. I also want to comment one thing. I stopped in Kelsey. It was in Lucerne, and I want to thank the ground, I don't know what you want to call him, the field crew. His name was Terrence. He works on the weekend cleaning these restrooms up. Yep. And it's a hard task, and I celebrate Terrence, and we had a chat for doing the whole county. So celebrate his work ethic and his performance. So let's go now to the first comment. Tom? We need the microphone, though, before. Please state your name. And
as the mic is going there, I'll just offer Terrence is moving on from Parks. Luckily, within my own department, he's going into buildings and grounds. So Terrence won't be out there, but I appreciate the shout out.
Yeah.
Large, Tom Lasik. A few questions that kind of cover several of the things that you're responsible for. My first question is, you mentioned that your 5-year plan, if it goes forward, is to do approximately 35 miles of road per year. Assuming for a moment that was indefinitely for 35, I know that you have to come back to a road in a certain amount of time to keep it maintained.
Yeah.
Is 35 miles a year sufficient to keep you on top of all the roads in the county that are currently?
You know, that's a great question, and one that I've had discussions with the road superintendent, and you know, without going into a long belabored discussion here about, you know, how long a chip seal or a double chip seal lasts, the short answer is it's pushing it, but we would be getting back to those roads about every 10 years,
Okay.
and that's
That puts it, the math
that
works.
puts it
then.
at least in the realm of reasonableness
Okay.
to get back there. And I will also offer that if the if the funding continues, then we need about $1.5 million
Sure.
to $2 million a year to do that 35 to 40 miles of road. And if SB1 continues to come in, which I'm not aware of it ending anytime soon, it should continue. So there ought to be an uptick if we continue. And if I'm no longer the interim director, then I would foot stomp this to you and the new director that we need to use our road crew to do the work.
Yeah.
To use a contractor, you're tripling the cost, which means 35 miles goes down to about 12.
And just so I can get them out so that they don't
Yep,
cut me off in
sorry.
3 minutes.
Yeah.
Um,
Don't count mine towards this.
Yeah, the next one is on the waste topic.
Mhm.
I talked to Supervisor Rasmussen, and he said you can bring up to 9 tires for free. There's a lot of free things that you can take to the transfer station, not have to pay. But I've also heard that that's like a temporary program, so that'll be one of my questions is on that. The other one is, again, with Waste Solutions, the landfills that we currently have. What's the life cycle that we expect? And by moving things, shifting things to an alternative waste stream, how long do we expect that to be extended?
Sure. So to answer the first question, tires specifically, yeah, you can haul up to 9 tires. That's not in the garbage world. That's not what limits it. It's I think that's a CHP or you know, environmental health may regulate that, and that's just per trip. We do receive funding for that to reimburse, and when we max out our funding, we continue the program using solid waste funds for that. So it's expected to continue. And then the the other question, just forgive me. Life cycle, thank you. The Eastlake landfill, we just finished a new cell construction that adds about 4 to 5 years of site life. We're in the final design phase for another that will add about 12 years of site life, and we have a third in the works that will add another estimated 10 years of site life. So we have, you know, we're in the 20 to 25-year range of site life at the landfill as it's permitted, which is getting to the point where, okay, we need to start looking beyond that. What will we do in 2050? So that's when my internal target was when we complete the construction of this phase 2, or at least when we get into construction, that we start the planning effort for long term when the landfill as it's currently permitted to max out. What do we do then? So
Next comment in Katie. Did someone? Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Hi, I have a question, comment, kind of bouncing off from the crosswalks on 2nd Street. Is there a way to go from a sidewalk to a non-sidewalk side? In front of the elementary school, when kids come and kids leave, people are crossing everywhere along that street. Cars park on one side and everyone's crossing. That is where someone's going to get hit.
okay, I'll take that
And
note.
so that's something that needs to be addressed. If there's a way to do a crosswalk across right there where the exit is at the elementary school.
Yeah, so I will look at the preliminary plans because it's here, at least the one at.
Well, you said to Clover Valley Road.
Yeah, but also there was one at 2nd Street in Elliott, which was crossing 2nd Street from.
2nd and Elliott was fine back when the elementary school was down there, but it's the new school, the
Okay.
elementary school, is where they need another one.
Okay, yeah, this is obviously at a different location, as you know, so, okay, yeah, I'll take that note and.
I know I've heard you can't go from a sidewalk to a non-sidewalk. It's just dirt, but cars all park along that road.
Yeah,
or that
it's
side.
happening anyway, so
Right.
what can we do?
The second thing is on Middle Creek and 2nd. Second Street is through to Middle Creek, no stop sign. It would make more sense to move the stop sign on Second Street that's going towards Main, stop Middle Creek, and have Second Street a through street, just like First Street is.
Yeah.
So all your side streets have stop signs.
Yeah, and I'm sorry if I misspoke earlier. That was what I envisioned.
That was kind of the point,
Yeah,
okay,
the
'cause that would make more sense.
Yeah, I said it the wrong way.
We've
The
lived
current
here-
stop sign is on stops
Second.
traffic going on Second Street.
Right, and people
if
don't
Middle Creek, yeah.
realize, and they run that stop sign.
Yeah.
We've lived here 26 years. I have had so many near misses
Yeah.
traveling Middle Creek because I have the thoroughfare. I go to I stop now. I don't think they're going to stop. I just stop.
And I appreciate that, and,
Yeah.
and I apologize that I misspoke, but that's the idea that I had as well.
Okay,
So.
thank you.
To go off of what Ms. Mary was just saying,
Can you remember to state your name and then
Oh, sorry,
tell me where you're
Katie.
from?
Katie,
Thanks,
Upper Lake
Katie.
Grocery, Bachelor Valley Grange, Vice President.
All the things.
So you said that you only go off of CHP reporting for accidents. Is there a way that you can report accidents that the CHP doesn't show up to? So that you have that data to, like, okay, this is a dangerous intersection?
Well, so when I say we only go off of the CHP reports, that's what we use for accident history. I mentioned earlier a grant, the Highway Safety Improvement Program grant that we get from Caltrans, and to access that funding, it's entirely or principally based on accident reports and benefit cost ratio and on numbers based, and so if there's not a demonstrated need for something that is safety based, it presents a challenge to be competitive when we're talking about grants. Now, to do something locally, especially something that is as straightforward as crosswalk striping, moving a stop sign, we don't need to sit around and wait for a grant. So let's make that work. And so I think it's certainly a challenge to open it up to everybody, to every road and say, everywhere we think we need an issue, an issue taken care of, we're gonna go do what the public is asking to do, but letting us know is important. So I'm hearing it in this venue, and that's whether it's at Second Street and Middle Creek, or the crosswalks for the school. Hearing it is that's the best venue. It's not through some other avenue of reporting a pseudo accident report, right? Let's not take that approach. I would rather just be proactive and say the people who live in the area are aware of a concern. There may not have been the accident or enough accidents to meet the metrics, but let's be proactive and get there before it happens. So I think this is the
Thank you.
best avenue.
I'm going to take one more question. You had a Zoom person still? Okay. Hello, Zoom. Can you state your name and? Oh, Angela.
Thank you. Hi, thank you, Angela. Angela from Clear Lake Oaks. Just had a couple questions since we are working on the D3 MAC Alliance, and thank you, Lars, for the great presentation and always bringing good information. We just saw at Earth, we just saw an EV charging presentation, and you mentioned how the gas tax fund the roads. Is there any potential to collect a similar tax at the charging stations that would be similar to the gas sales tax, since gas sales are going to obviously start decreasing? You don't have to give me a full answer right now, but if you can email me when, later on, I just wanted to throw that out there. And then my other question is, have you explored a potential small transfer station somewhere along the North Shore? Could that be an option aside from universal garbage? And like I said, you don't have to answer right now. You can feel free to email me later. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Angela.
So I'm going to thank you, Lars, spending your time with us today, answering questions. Did you have one more question, Robin?
Hi, Robin Aceves, Nice. I just wanted to bring up, we live on Floyd Way in Nice, and I'm really thankful that you guys did the bottom. There's a portion of Floyd that you've already worked on. It's great. Now, a little further up, on the drainage side, the road is currently, it's eroding, so it's dipping down. into the drain, which you might even be aware of this. And then there are many times that people go 100 miles an hour down this road. It's 25 miles an hour. We have ongoing speeding issues on that road. It's really dangerous because there's a blind corner at the bottom. I actually got run off the road the other day. I almost went into the ditch. So, and then we also have another ongoing problem, which doesn't involve your department, but on the opposite side of the street, there's an old water drainage system that's going under, I guess my neighbor said it's about 70 years old, so it's going underneath the properties and it's eroding. So now several of our neighbors have sinkholes in their front yard. But what might concern you down the road is the erosion of the street, because it will eventually go into the street. So that's just, we just have a couple of those issues. I don't know if there's ever a possibility of putting a stop sign at Merced and Floyd. There is a stop sign when you come to Merced before you can merge onto Floyd, but it's getting worse. You know, it kind of calmed down for a while, but literally the other night I saw a guy going 120 miles an hour down the road, and just because they get flying down that hill. And then we've had several accidents there at the blind corner of people just getting smashed. So I don't know if there's anything we can do to try to come up with some way to alleviate that, but I just wanted to let you know and to tell you that I appreciate that you fixed the bottom part, because it really needed it.
Oh, good.
So.
I'll pass on the thanks to the road crew for sure.
All right, one more, and then because we're going to go to quite a bit more on the agenda. And Lars has been here. Do you have one more comment?
I'll try to
Make
be
it brief.
succinct.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Kate Parankama, and I live in Nice. And I think if you were to survey many of the people here, any one of us could come up with our 3 favorite difficult roads in either Lucerne, Nice, or Upper Lake to travel. I would offer up Yolo, I would offer up Marin, I would offer up Inyo, insofar as streets that haven't been improved in probably close on to 25, 30 years. But I'm really curious that there might be some way through the county tax source for new residentials and resales of residentials, for there to be some kind of street improvement. And I wonder if that's a possibility for your department to float on up the chain.
I can investigate that just to make sure I understand what you're saying. We're talking about the sale of a home? Is that what you're getting at?
Well, in a much more urban area, there's a responsibility for the upkeep and maintenance of sidewalks and street trees. And so that's an assessment that the county will put on properties. And I think in some of these areas, there is no other recourse to basically removing the potholes and getting some kind of surface improvement.
Okay.
And I would also offer that a 28 to 34-year-old sewage project where a sewer was put in, for instance, on Langway, Lange, it has a severe impact on street condition.
Sure. Yeah, a quick response, hopefully quick. I don't know that it's fair, to be quite honest, when we talk about comparing urban with Lake County, and the reason for that is the lack of interest generally in areas like Lake County to support passing of measures to increase taxes, to increase fees. And I say that because when you go into an urban environment, what is the sales tax? And all those extra, they have gone to the voters and they have passed. We have tried, the county has tried on a number of occasions for various tax measures. And if you just let me finish, I understand I know that that's different than a tax measure, but even the assessments on properties needs to be approved by the Board of Supervisors. And historically, I'm not saying specifically for roads, but historically, there has been hesitancy. There's been a struggle by the Board of Supervisors to approve those because that is adding a burden to citizens. And so it's a problem that begets a problem, but by trying to keep rates low, to keep fees low, to keep taxes low, it comes with a lack of funding to do them. But having said that, there are mechanisms to do that. There are some fees that the road crew, that the roads receive. I mentioned garbage. There is a garbage trucks cause an impact to the roads, and they pay, that the company pays the road department compensation for the impact to the roads every year. They pay hundreds of thousands of dollars, and so that goes into the road fund. Now, how far does that go? Maybe not very far, but that's one example. And I think where you're getting at is we need to be creative with how to possibly tap into other sources of funds. But there's another side of the coin too, which is it's on the back of everyone here who would be paying for that.
Well, I think having been a warrior in the proposition and recent fight like 3 years ago, I understand what you're saying, and I've looked at the statistics and the demographics.
Yeah.
And you cannot continue, as we have, to focus on the negative, because just on Langway and other parts where they did really a sub-appropriate quality of sewer install, they've left a problem that continues on decades afterwards.
Sure.
And so I would argue, as I'm sure that you do anyway, that we do it right, we do it quality the first time.
Absolutely. Yep, and that's why I ended on a positive note, because I don't want to be a negative Nancy, and the quality of the work. First off, that was the water or sewer district. I'm going to look into that. It was not the road crew, but we also inherited roads that were not constructed right in the first place. So we're doing our darndest to keep them up to snuff, or get them up to snuff.
All right. Well, thank you so much
Hey, okay.
for coming out.
Real quick.
Is
it working?
We got to move on.
Lars, one more question, real quick. Lars?
I'm sorry, I got to move on. So if
I
you
just
want
wanted to say thank you for getting the street sweeper here, and is it going to be a regular schedule?
All right, thank you. Thanks.
All right, thank you so much for your time, Lars. So we're going to go next to, no, we're going to go longer. Thanks, Katie. We got some subject matter. We're going to go to Barbara next on an update on biochar. And if you can make it brief. I know there's a lot there. I appreciate your...
I'm cutting it down to the bare minimum.
Thank you so much, Barbara.
Thank you for squeezing me in.
Yep.
I think, okay. Most of you look familiar. I think you're all familiar with the history of this issue, pretty much. So I think I can just kind of cut to the chase here. Before the last meeting on October 28th, afternoon before, we received an email from Myrea Turner. And in it, she requested a continuance as she was still answering questions and posing questions to the state concerning the legality of leasing that land. Because in the funding contract, it does say that the land cannot be leased without prior permission, and conservation easements should be placed on all the properties as they're purchased. So in this email thread was another email, and it was from the Director of Water Resources, Pawan Upatahe. I think I'm saying that right. And in it he writes, based on my review of the documents and the current situation, my recommendation to the Board of Supervisors is to cancel this agreement/lease. The recommendation is based on the following key reasons. Number one, conservation easement requirements. I'm going to paraphrase here. Number two, FEMA flood zone designation. The updated FEMA map indicates that the entire parcel now falls into the 100-year flood zone. Number three, risk of legal and funding implications. And what he meant by number three was this final sentence in this email from DWR. It says, please note that the recording of an appropriate easement or other title restriction in the first position and approved by the state must be completed for all acquired parcels. Failure to comply with this provision may result in termination of the funding agreement and repayment of all funds dispersed, plus interest. And we're talking about over $20 million that have been dispersed so far. So it's serious, and they really need to take this funding grant agreement seriously. The state can't break it to accommodate what they want to do. So they really need to get down and read this agreement carefully. And at the October 28th meeting, the county council admitted he'd never read the funding grant agreement. So that's why this is dragging on and on and on. They will not look at that grant agreement as the final word. And it is the final word. It's a legal document. So what we have here is a survey. We put this up before the last meeting, and in a little over 24 hours, we had over 88 comments from Upper Lake residents opposing this project and voting for the appeal or the revoking of the lease. It's a short 3 to 5 minute survey. If you guys haven't taken it yet, could you please take it? And it goes onto this online database that, keeps track of everything. It has to be done by November 27th, and it can only be done one survey per device. So that.
All right.
Okay, and that's it.
Now, you mentioned December 16th. You already mentioned what I was.
That'll
be the final one. That's going to be the final one.
Yes.
That's when they're going to make the decision there.
And if I could just add, I was watching virtually the October 28th meeting, and I think really important context for that extension, from my perspective, was there was only four supervisors there, and it was pretty clear that at least one of them was in favor of the project continuing, and one of them was in favor of the project being declined. And you weren't really sure about the other two, and so it was very clearly stated that in the event of a draw, like if it had been 2-2, the appeal would have failed.
Correct.
So I think we should be excited, because I originally was kind of like, I don't really know where I stand on the biochar project, just being transparent. That meeting, the contract was read out loud. It is very clearly against the contract for this project to be where it's at. I think legal is going to come back and say that. So the December meeting, hopefully, the project is just dead from there.
And one more point I'd like to make concerning that meeting was his recommendation to revoke was withheld from the board at that meeting. Oh. What he got up and said was, this project and a conservation easement cannot exist at the same time on this property. They are not compatible. But he didn't actually come forth and say, I recommend revoking this lease. It was withheld from the board. But the Director of Water Resources is the one person that can revoke the lease. It's written into the lease that is how the lease can be terminated, is with a letter from him. Wow. So for some reason, he wasn't able to bring himself to say it.
But the consequences of going forward would put a price tag and a financial burden on Lake County.
Not to mention all the people that had to move.
Right.
And sell their land.
But
they're
we're
all
talking
going to come back and
a considerable amount of reimbursement of funds that have already been forwarded.
$20 million plus interest. Yeah, they can't. Why they would put this in jeopardy for a lease that $100 a year? I don't understand why they would do that.
Yeah, that's the big concern here, is that this got as far as it has. And it's, hopefully, I don't know what can happen after this is done on December 16th and the final vote is taken. Hopefully they reevaluate the process and ensure next time that we're not having valuable treasure spent on something that should not have even been put forward in the first place.
Exactly. And It's also written in the grant funding agreement that they have to clean the land, remove all the debris and the infrastructure that's left on there. It's 115 acres of debris covered with blackberries. There's 2 structures they never remove. They have to remove the road, they have to cap the wells, and they have to restore it to wildlife habitat and then place the conservation easement. And that's going to be really expensive, but they're going to have to do it according to that grant funding agreement.
Does anybody have any comments in the room they'd like to make before we go to the next topic? Thank you,
Okay.
Barbara. Thanks
Thank
for your
you.
hard work and appreciate it. So I'm going to do as chairperson, since we're going long tonight. Is there someone in, does Zoom have any comments on this before we can move to the next topic? Okay. So as chair, I'm going to actually, because we're going long tonight and we have a guest here that's been waiting patiently to respond to some concerns, I'm going to, as chair, hopefully the board council is okay for moving the Upper Lake student bullying action to the next item. So if we're all in favor of that, I don't think we need a motion. I'm going to move it up now. We're going to take number 9, Upper Lake student bullying. This is a discussion brought to us by Lisa. Lisa, would you like to make a talk about it and open it up?
Yes. So this was actually, I'm not sure if everyone has seen, but this was a concern that was brought to me by an Upper Lake resident to bring here. On Facebook, a month or 2 ago, a student from Upper Lake posted, and I think it got shared over like 300 times, that they experienced severe bullying in the school, and that they contacted the administrators, and they contacted who they thought they could contact, and they felt like they weren't heard or seen. And then a couple 2 weeks ago, I think, we had another community member post that they were considering pulling their student from Upper Lake Middle School because of the bullying situation. And that post kind of took off and saw additional comments as well. And then the most recent thing that kind of put this to a head was a community member posted in Upper Lake Connect, I think last week or the week before, that they were brought outside of their house because a young girl was getting jumped.
Hold on 1 second, Lisa. John and guys, if we can let Lisa do her presentation, if we can have, do you want to step out? Yeah, it's okay. Okay, Lisa, go ahead.
A week or so ago, a community member posted that they were brought outside of their house because they witnessed a young girl being jumped by other students, and students were recording it. And this was actually off of school property. My understanding is that it went down the street, and she broke it up. And so that raised a big conversation of like, what can we do to support the school district in our community, and what is currently being done. I do just want to call out that since that incident, I have seen 2 bulletins from Upper Lake High School that did have a reminder about the bullying. Like, first of all, let's not bully. And second of all, this is what you do in the event that you are getting bullied. And then I also believe I saw that Upper Lake Elementary School had like a Be Kind Day. So I asked for this to be brought up. I don't see the community member that raised it to me. I asked her to come speak, but I think we have a facilitator here.
Yes, I'd like to introduce Tenderly Logan, who's the assistant principal at Upper Lake, superintendent of Upper Lake Unified School District, director of student services, and she was going to go through procedurally how parents and even students would register issues of concern regarding bullying. Thank you, Tenderly.
Absolutely, thank you. As Claudine said, I'm Tenderly Logan, Assistant Superintendent for Upper Lake. I've been with Upper Lake Unified for 6 years. I am also a property owner in Upper Lake and in Whitter Springs, so I look forward to attending more of these meetings now that I'm aware of them. So I cannot specifically address the concerns, obviously, that you shared because they involve student matters that are not public for us to go over. But when I saw this on the agenda, or it was sent to me, and I was asked to come here today. I thought about what would I want to know or hear if I was a community member and if I had students within the school. Because there are a lot of things that happen within a school setting that people are not aware of, that happen every day, that administration is aware of, teachers are aware of, but oftentimes parents and community members do not hear that information. So I'd like to go over what Upper Lake Unified is currently doing to address behaviors, bullying, social emotional health of our students. Because it's not just an issue in Upper Lake, it's an issue everywhere. And it's something as a community we need to address on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis. So first thing, starting, we thought we'd have it launched, but we've had a couple of issues. We have a new program that's starting called Stop It, and it'll be up on all of our websites. Some information went out, we're piloting it right now. We hope to have it fully launched in December. We have a link on our website right now, but we've had some issues, so we think we'll have it solved in December by the time everyone comes back from the break. So Stop It is a anonymous or not anonymous. The person who submits it has the choice of whether or not they want to say who they are. It's a way for reporting bullying, things that are seen, heard, actions that are taken that either a student, a community member, a family member wants to make sure Upper Lake Unified is notified of, because we can't act unless we know. So it's another method that we're trying to institute to provide people an opportunity. My student comes home from school, they tell me something happened, I want to make sure administration is notified right away. You can go on the website, click on the link, go through all the steps, and administrator is immediately notified so that that issue can be addressed in immediacy. So that the parent doesn't have to stress about it all night, the student doesn't have to stress about it. Of course, we want that student to come forward at school, speak with someone about it, speak with our counselors, our administration, but sometimes things happen and the student doesn't feel comfortable reporting it, or they want to talk with the parent about it first. Me as a parent, I want to be able to notify administration that evening so that I know something would be addressed the next day. So we have that. It will be starting hopefully perfectly in December. We hope we've worked out all the kinks. Daily bulletins, I heard you mention. So in our daily bulletins, we are putting out more and more information on how to talk with your child, how to support your child, how to support your classroom, your teacher, and how to address bullying, concerns that students may have. So we're trying to put out more and more basically public service announcements of how these things can be addressed within the home and how we're addressing them at school. We also have our monthly site council meetings. We have the secondary site council, and then we have the elementary site council. That's a public input forum, so anyone can attend those. And that's a venue for any of our stakeholders, community members, family members, to share with us any of their concerns that are happening within our school community. For our TK through 5, this school year, we adopted a social emotional curriculum called, and there are friendships groups as part of that. So each and every classroom in TK through 5th grade has daily social emotional learning they are doing with all students. Then they have school-wide events. They have family events that are also going to be happening because of that curriculum. So in January, they'll be having a social emotional event at the elementary school for families, students, and the public. We are also working to the friendship groups. So friendship groups are being formed with peers that have positive behaviors, supporting students that may have some behaviors that would be better addressed by friends. So for example, a 5th grader may work with a 3rd grader to say, here's how, when I was in 3rd grade, I handled this issue, and here's some things from a kid's perspective that you could do to support conversations and to support your own learning. So we're trying to form those peer relationships with basically a buddy, older students with younger students. We're also doing the same thing in our middle school and high school programs. So we have our 8th graders, and I forget the name of it. Everyone Belongs. So we have our 8th graders that buddy up with a 6th grader. And then at the high school, we have our Link crew, which are high school students. So our 10th, 11th, and 12th graders buddy up with a 9th grade student so that they feel that support when they're coming in to the high school. Because those 6th grade years and those 9th grade years, they're tough. They're tough on anybody. Anyone that remembers being in those grades, they're tough. So we're trying to make it a more positive experience and give them a connection with a student who's experienced that. Because not all students want to talk to adults. Sometimes they just need a peer that they can relate to. Keenan training. So every year as a staff, our classified and our certificated all take what are called Keenan trainings. So they're state mandated trainings. One of those yearly trainings with our staff is on bullying recognition and response. So it's something that yearly the district, and every district in California addresses, that staff have to take that yearly training on bullying. And not just, it used to just be on what is bullying. Now it's how to recognize it and how to respond. So every year those trainings get better and better as more information is available to us. At the elementary school, they also have a two-way communication with families called Seesaw. So it's a way for them to get information out to families. It's also a way for families to communicate with the teacher, site principal, the dean. So there's that other level of communication that can happen electronically as well. We have something called Gaggle. We've had Gaggle for years, but we have now added LineWise, which I just got the email today to set up my account. So Gaggle is an alert system that notifies us of any language, any substance within written content that is of concern. So for example, if a student mentions the word bullying, we may get alerts, depending on what they also put within that content, so that we can investigate. Because Gaggle was not giving us the full breadth of what we needed with our new technology era, we have also added a new program called LineWise, which we're launching over the next couple months. What would happen is students would take their devices home. They may do something on their device. It's not connected to our system. We then didn't have access to that. Now what will happen with LineWise is they take our device, which are issued to the students, home on their Wi-Fi, do something that they're not supposed to, bullying activity, social media, whatnot. As soon as they connect back to our system, we will get those alerts. So we're trying to fill that gap because a lot of things happen when students are at home. We're notified of them, but we don't have any evidence of it. So this will help us to support students better because there is online bullying that happens after school hours on our devices, and we need to have that information to be able to address it. So LineWise is one of those programs that we're starting and launching to be able to get us more connected to that information that we didn't have access to before. We also have a school resource officer. A lot of people think a school resource officer just, walks around and is this kind of heavy on campus, but it's actually the opposite. The school resource officer, yes, is there to support us if there's a fight or if there's something that occurs on campus, but they're there to make connections with kids, support kids. The school resource officer comes to meetings. If there's been a student issue, they'll sit in on meetings. The school resource officer is really there as a support system for staff, students, and the community to ensure that not only the safety of our campus, but also to ensure that students are learning what repercussions can happen if certain behaviors continue. So it's not meant as a got you, it's meant as a, do you understand when you turn 18, if you do this, what the repercussions are of this action? So it just gives us that extra layer of support to have law enforcement there during meetings when we're discussing some of these really hard-hitting things that happen to our students by others. At the secondary, they have what's called a student declaration page, and we've had that for a long time. It's just old school piece of paper where a student can go in at any time to the office, in the classroom, they can write down what happened, submit it, and then the administration deals with that in as much real time as they can. They're really trying to put forth the effort to make sure before students leave for the day, if they've been given notification of something, they're addressing it that day. We have had a high school counselor for quite a long time, but new this year, we have removed her from where she was at in the front office, and we have opened up what's called the Student Center at the high school. We have a full-time counselor now in that Student Center. We have a full-time aide in that Student Center, and the goal of the Student Center is not only counseling support, but also social-emotional support. It's providing food, it's providing clothing, it's providing, honestly, sometimes a nap. Sometimes some of our students come to school and they haven't slept all night. and they just need a quick 20-minute power nap. So we have nice comfy chairs that they can take a nap in and get ready for their day, get a snack, get something to eat. We also have our wellness center, which has been open for 4 years now, where students can go and families can go wash their clothes, get food, get resources in the community. And one of the things that supports is when you feel good, you act better. When you feel clean, you act better. When you have a place to shower, you act better. So taking care of students' personal needs helps them to behave in a different way. Because as we know, we were all in school, kids can be cruel. If you are, excuse me to be frank, that smelly kid who wears the same clothes for a week because your family can only afford to launder it once a week and can't afford other clothes, that leads to teasing. Is it okay? Do we address it? Absolutely. But kids are kids. So whatever we can do to support our students so that they feel good about themselves helps our community of students support each other better. And it is a really positive place for students to go to. It's not a negative. They will come ask, hey, can I go to the student center? I need more shoes, I need a jacket, I need some food. So that's a positive place for our students to go and get the support that they need. Other than that, we are a restorative district. That means that we aren't focused on punishment, but we're focused on restoring students to be successful. So if there's conflict that happens, we are teaching our kids how to have restorative conversations. So instead of coming to a teacher and tattling, Johnny Smith said this about me and they hurt my feelings, now students are learning to come to a staff member and say, can you support us in a supportive conversation? They come into a room together, an administrator's there with them, and it's, I didn't like that you said this to me on the playground. You hurt my feelings. Other student can respond, I didn't know that hurt your feelings. I'm sorry. Or I knew and I was just being mean and I need to apologize. So we're doing that at the elementary school. It obviously looks different at the middle school and high school than elementary. But what we're trying to do is train our students how to be good citizens someday. We want them to be able to go out in the community, have relationships, have jobs, and be able to have positive communication and positive solutions and not feel like they need to resort to bullying to have those peer relationships or to have that negativity. Because our ultimate goal as an education system is send students out into the community ready to work and ready to be productive citizens. So punitive actions don't always benefit us in that way. And if you haven't heard of the school to prison pipeline, I encourage you to really read up on that because it's all about how back in my time going to school, it was all suspend, 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 expel, expel, expel. Well, what they learned through all these studies is all that does is support students in ending up in juvenile hall and in our prison systems. It does not support them in learning the skills they need to be successful adults into the future.
Okay, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. We're running long tonight, so I appreciate your patience and giving us a great detail and incredible programs coming our way that'll help, you know, the behavior. Hopefully one of these days we'll ban the cell phones, but that's my opinion. So
thank you for your time.
I just have a real quick question. So sorry. I know we're late. First, I just want to say I graduated Upper Lake High School in 2009, and none of this existed. So that's only like 15 years, and this is huge progress. So thank you so much for that. The second thing is you mentioned the Wellness Center, and I saw on Facebook today that the Wellness Center is seeking donations for the winter time. So could you just very briefly, if we have a winter coat, if we have belts, how do we donate that to you?
It is open during school hours, and it's on First and Government Street. You can drop off. If it's closed, it means they're out supporting a student, so you can just leave it right on the ramp that's there. Or you can walk into any of the Upper Lake schools and donate in the office, and they will get it to me, and I get it over to the Wellness Center. So any location that is convenient for you, socks, underwear, unused, please. All of those staple things that we go through. I can't even tell you how many pairs of socks and underwear and t-shirts and gently used shoes. I mean, I gathered up a carload of stuff today and took it over to the wellness center, and there were 3 families there, and it just happened to be that a lot of those things fit those students and those family members. So we go through whatever we cannot use, we donate to other places around the lake, like women's shelters and things like that.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Hey, thank you. Okay, so we're going to move to subcommittees. As a chairperson, I'm going to make that action happen. We got 2 of them that we've covered already, so we're going to go ahead to Pile Road. And Dave, if you can make it brief, yeah, we might have to
The
do
website's
that.
been pushed 5 times. The website's been pushed.
Okay, well, let's get through this and then I'll bring it back up.
All right,
Hey,
I'm
Dave,
Dave.
you- Yeah.
I'm Dave Hendrick on the Pile Road Subcommittee. Okay. I have emailed the county twice in the last month, and I've got no response from him. Thomas emailed him and got a response that was just generic. We were asking him for specific dates when something would happen, and code enforcement just didn't respond to us at all. I did call the mental health number you gave me, and they said, we don't do that. They help them out if they need help, and they got to ask for it. So, okay, I want to. There was an incident I had this month with several cars running up and down Sherman Street and down to Pile Road and back, and they were going real fast and unregistered and kids, no mufflers, and I called CHP, and CHP pretty much gave me a ration, and they said, well, we're not even sure we're responsible for that area. So I called the sheriff, and the sheriff assured me that CHP was responsible for motor vehicles, and but at any rate, that went on. Cody had a really good fire burning one morning with garbage in it, and we called the sheriff to report because he was burning garbage, and they transferred us right to CAL FIRE. And CAL FIRE did come, and they went over and talked to him, and I don't know if they did anything. And shortly after that, Mike and I went over and talked to Cody. They were over there with a car with a super loud stereo. It was rattling the windows in my house, and I'm 2 football fields away from there. And we went over and talked to Cody, and he's actually been pretty decent since then. So maybe it just needed some personal attention. I have talked to the county a little bit about this, and Logan told me that the place was red tagged. When I called the sheriff and asked them to go over there, they told me the place wasn't red tagged. And then Julia got a public release of information from the county, and it's not on the red tag list at all. So the only thing that we can assume is that code enforcement has decided that they can let them live there for the winter, and they don't have to deal with them. And so that's apparently where it's staying for the winter, because they're in there. When we were over there, I got mud on my feet, and it's just it's a horrible place to live, and the conditions got to be just terrible for them. But they're there, and it looks like they're in there for the winter. So that's about it. I've been patrolling every day around the area, and there hasn't been very little more garbage dumped anywhere. So that's a really good thing. That's it. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, Claudine, you want to?
I'll be very brief with my traffic report. I have a dialogue at least once a month with the CHP. The officer I spoke with the other day said that they had only received 1 complaint from Upper Lake area, and it was regarding the pickup drop-off of Upper Lake Elementary. And they are urging folks to, place a complaint. A description, license plate helps them a lot, and they're going to continue to try to do unscheduled drive-bys. So we have to do our part. We have to make complaints, and the number is 281-5200. So I was kind of astounded that there was only one complaint registered. So we've got to start really, taking up their time and putting the complaints in so that they'll think that all these statements about erratic driving are true.
Okay, so did you guys want to talk about the levies, or did we get that out of the way already? Right.
John LaBoito for the Levy Subcommittee, and I'm going to pick up with what Walt said when at the beginning here. He said that the Caltrans mitigation money, which is earmarked for improving the levees, is on hold. And that information did not come from the county. I think he got that from Caltrans. The reason is that there's a certain amount of engineering that needs to get done before work can be done out there. And that's as much as we know. We don't know if the engineering is getting done or whether it's going to get done. About 2 weeks ago, I wrote a letter to the Director of Water Resources, and I asked him for an appointment. And it was a polite and respectful letter. That was about 2 weeks ago. No response. So I don't know whether we have a personnel problem that the county needs to pay attention to. And I mean, the gentleman that spoke here was exemplary. Told us everything we wanted to know. Here's another county employee who is uncommunicative. Or let me put a different spin on it. The guy has so many problems that our little, what we are worried about seems very small to him. And this situation with the biochar, this Water Resources had a big hand in this, and and now they apparently are on a very legal sticky wicket, and maybe that's why he doesn't want to talk to us. But anyway, that's all I can really report.
I want to add on to that. I did talk to Director Pawan and Linda from the DWR at the Lucerne meeting a week and a half ago in person, asking him to come to our meeting next year, which January or February. He said send him an email, but remember at the beginning of the year, I had all those responses, never respond. We even talked about this during our Worth presentation at the Board of Supervisors. But this has been an ongoing thing, not just from his department, but through all the MACs, all the municipal advisory councils are having this issue. Hopefully once we get him and Linda over here, hopefully he'll respond to what he promised me in person. But yeah, we might have to go down there and talk to him in person too to get him to.
I offered to do that. Come in your office,
Yeah, I know it's been ongoing. It's a problem that's at the yeah, we seem to have face-to-face, like Tim said, is the way to get them to try to at least. That's how I did with Lars. Well, actually, Dave helped me with Lars. Dave over there, Hendricks, because he worked. So Lars, yeah. So thank you so much. So Copter, who's going to speak? Robin?
Looks like Robin's going to say something. I might say something.
Hi, Robin Aceves of Nice, part of the Copter Committee. So I'm just going to give an update to some of the things we've been doing. We have a private Facebook group page. We are trying to vet people that only live in Nice, just because we're trying to make it a Nice central issue with the Neighborhood Watch and the Citizens Patrol. So, but we do have, I think, 80 members so far, so we're growing. We did a poll on the page asking questions. We asked several questions, what were the biggest issues and what were people worried about in Nice. The two items at the top were crime and drug use. So those, you know, and we'd kind of already known that. The other thing we asked was the average response time for a sheriff to come to a call. It was 1 to 2 hours. The average response time to the CHP, 30 minutes to 1 hour. So the CHP is responding faster than the, I mean, as according to, this was feedback from the poll. So, you know, we wanted to have a timeline because in December we are going to have a meeting with the Lake County Sheriff's Office. We're going to meet with the,
Patrol officer?
yes, the patrol officer.
And
So,
also the copter officer.
and the, yeah.
And the sheriff's department volunteer administrator.
So that's, hopefully we'll get some more information in regards to that. There's several people on the committee that have brought up the fact that we should talk about, they had at one point, there was a substation in Lucerne. There was a sheriff's substation in Lucerne. Is there any possible way to bring that back? That's something we can ask. And then Lisa briefly mentioned about our adventures in Nice, going around double checking red tag properties. I got to tell you, there are some really interesting places where people have property. Like, yeah, we were in my car and we went down this road and I couldn't go any further. So I had to back out this road. And Lisa's all, I'm so glad you're driving. But, and actually Kate and Tim got out and walked it. So I don't know if you guys want to talk about just briefly what you guys saw when you did that walk, Kate and Tim. You know, the.
Well, my overall impression was that it's the Wild West out there in the upper parts of Nice, and a lot of the roads are just not even roads.
It was like Tehama up, yeah, it was really bad.
We were going up, I was slipping on the road. I couldn't get traction.
Yeah, it was pretty.
And it wasn't a dirt road.
So it was just a really, I think it was a really eye-opening experience for all of us to go out and look at these situations and these properties. I mean, I'd say overall, most of the properties, you can definitely see that code enforcement has been involved. There were a couple properties that were questionable, including one that on Howard that I think is still being inhabited, which we reported. But overall, you know, with the exemption of Dave's, you know, ongoing issue, it looked like, you know, some of them had been cleaned up and they were almost looking like some of them were getting ready for resale. So, but we just got the new updated list. We're going to go out again in a couple weeks and we're going to follow up and then give the feedback to code enforcement, specifically Logan, because Logan is, you know, designated for our area. So, and it was, like I said, it was very eye-opening for us. I already talked about our December meeting, and then we are also going to, I talked to Julia briefly about communicating with SWIM, Solano Women in Medicine, and the work they're doing in the community. So they're doing a lot of different things. So we want to communicate with them and talk to them about being involved with us as well, because they are reaching out and doing some good, you know, they've cleaned up the harbor down in Nice and they've cleaned up the buildings and they're doing activities. So we do want to reach out to them as well because they are trying to make an impact in the community. And then I think we don't have a meeting date for the big meeting for Nice. We have to talk to Supervisor Crandall about that.
He just texted tonight that he's working with Luke, Sheriff Luke Bingham.
Okay.
And he's asked us to come up with what he asked us, what did he say on there?
A list of topics to discuss.
So if anybody has topics you'd like to discuss, he's going to have a Nice Town Hall. Please text that to Supervisor Crandall. Just anything on the top of your head, we have lots of stuff. Or you can send it to me and I'll text him on that.
Okay.
But it's important we get this to him. It seems like he's coalescing that together. And as soon as we get it together, we can all come in and sit down with them and discuss face to face. So.
Okay. We will also be making some Nice Neighborhood Watch signs, and then we're also still working on organizing the, after we have a meeting with the Sheriff's Department, we'll organize the Citizens Patrol, and we'll get that going. And like I said, I'm really excited. I hope we get this meeting going because I think it's really important. And hopefully maybe in the spring we can do a community event because, you know, we got to figure out a way to all work together to get stuff done. But maybe, you know, just seeing hopefully the sheriff's office will, you know, understand the concern about the 1 to 2 hour response time. That's pretty long. That's pretty bad. And I really think there's a need for the substation to return to the North Shore. That's my opinion. So I will be sharing that with them.
And then if you want to make a question for, if you're in the Nice area and would like to participate in asking Supervisor Crandall or giving him information, you can email that to our Worth email. And it's worth.chairman@gmail.com. A lot of you will have that anyway if we've emailed you things. So you can certainly email me and I can get that to him. And I would do it as soon as possible so we can get this meeting. So thank you so much. And the next one, we're going to go to the website. We thank you for being here for a while. We had a lot of great topics tonight. Hopefully great information on everything. We thank all our guests, of course. So Lisa's going to show us a presentation of our possible website.
Yes. So if you were here a couple months ago, we showed the first iteration and then we took your feedback. And I do have to give a shout out, hopefully they're still on Zoom, but Holly and Angela from the Earth really helped get this to what we need for it to be. So hopefully tonight, unless there's any additional feedback, we can approve this to launch. So what you see here, this is the home page. Again, it's just who are we? At the beginning of the year, if you remember, that was one of the things that many people asked is like, what is a MAC? What is it that we do? Then you scroll down, you can see videos linked to our the recordings that Thomas does for us on PEG TV. And then down here, you could add your name to a mailing list so that you get alerts from the town hall. And there's a community calendar that anyone within our district, if they'd like to add something to the calendar, we could have it here. Go to About Worth. It is exactly what it says. It's just some more details about what it is we are. It has some links to the county websites. It has our supervisor's information, the contact email that Thomas just shared, and then who our list of members are. This is also the Zoom that you can use to log in here. Next, you have Worth Documents. This is where we will list our agendas, previous agendas, and minutes. So currently, there is not a public place where non-members of the MAC could easily go and find these things. So they are here. It also has things like the letter of the Board of Supervisors that we wrote. We could add the presentation that we did at the Board of Supervisors a month ago. And then the summary of the community survey we did earlier this year, and any archived videos from previous years.
Excellent.
Resources, there's local resources and county resources. This is just a little snapshot. I did have a thought at the beginning of the meeting when we have guests that come and they share flyers like Tammy's, or like plans or things like the waste flyer. We could add it here so that maybe you missed the meeting, but you can still get the information that was shared. Then you have a bigger version of, hold on, county resources. This is where, my computer's sleeping, sorry. County resources is a link to various sites. So the Board of Supervisors agendas, code enforcement, the online complaint portal. So it's just another way, another avenue that maybe you don't know how to get to the county website. I am very tech savvy. I consider myself to be very tech savvy, and the county website is not intuitive. So this is a way for us to kind of bridge the gap to our community a little bit more. Also has our wonderful Know Your Zones, right, for fire season, things like that.
Excellent.
Then we have the calendar, and this is just a bigger version of the calendar that was on the first page. So this is where we could put things like the senior center yoga that I see, the school site council meetings, we could put that on here, the Grange meetings, elk meetings, not elk, that's not our area. Oddfellows, their meetings, so that folks can just have a snapshot of what's going on in the Upper Lake community. The Be Notified is how they can subscribe to our information. So Thomas sends out regularly like information of like, hey everyone, here's the agenda, or sometimes it's here's the survey when we were doing the survey, the dump day when that was happening. So folks could just sign up for that to be on that list. And then the Contact the Worth is for community members. It's going to pull up here in a second. It's for community members who might not be able to make it to these meetings, but still have a concern that they want us to address. So this is how that they could select, they can submit to us what they'd like us to cover. This would be perfect. For example, a couple months ago, we walked out and a community member had actually taped a question to the door. And it just so happened that we noticed it, you know, but this would be a great forum for, they couldn't make it to the meeting, they still had a comment or something they needed to be shared, and so it's here. It's just another way for us to connect. So that is it. The website would be, I did purchase the domain, Lake County Worth, Lake County WRTH.com. And the platform that we use, that domain does have to be re-upped every year. It's like $13. I'm happy to cover it as long as I'm around. But the website itself is free. So WordPress is a free. So this is a resource that after every meeting, it is really easy to use. So as long as I'm a member, I can update it after every meeting, but then also I can train a couple of us. So in the event that I'm not available or you guys get sick of me and want me to be gone, someone else can step in to take that lead. So that's it. I can open it up to any questions anyone has. And then the only thing that I would ask, Chair, is I believe we do need a formal action and vote to launch it.
Well, it looks great, and you're just forcing us to keep you on the council. I'm just kidding. No, it looks fantastic. What does the council think of it? Comments?
Well, it is an action item, so we.
Right, before we get to the action, I just like to get comments from you guys.
It seems very user-friendly. I like that about it.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks great. Any comments from the public? Thumbs up. We're getting thumbs up. Right on. I like that. I guess we're getting late in the evening. It's just we're going Charlie Chaplin mode.
Gonna move into grunts.
All right. Well, let's make a motion. Who wants to make a motion on it?
I make a motion that we publish the website.
I second the motion.
I've got a second. We got a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any comments from Zoom before we finalize it? No? Okay, motion as carries. We're good.
And
Let's
it's
launch
launched.
it. Launch. Okay, so thank you so much. Before we all go, I know we're a couple items on here we're going to move. Let me just say the District 3 combo meeting is still on. We're still doing those, and the reason we talked about the universal trash collection, because that was one area we're exploring to talk about. So we're still looking at that. That's why I brought that up with, we think it's important because of the overall issues we were having on the North Shore with the refuse, trash, and so forth. So we'll get you updated next time on our next meeting. But announcements before we go?
There will be a distribution from Clear Lake Gleaners at what was the former Sons of Italy, now known as the Nice Community Center, tomorrow from 8 to 10. I urge people to be prepared to line up by about 7:15 to 7:30. I've been given groceries, and we will receive groceries for 264 households. There is no need for identification. You basically pull up in line, we take your name, and we put groceries in your car. I understand the protein is going to be turkey breasts.
I have two quick announcements. One is First Baptist Church on Middle Creek is having a Thanksgiving dinner from 1 to 3 on Thanksgiving Day. And if you'd like to RSVP, there is a phone number. I can give that to you, or you could Google it, I'm sure. But and then the second update, Bachelor Valley Grange, our December meeting is Monday, December 8th, 5:30. Well, 6 is the official meeting, but we are looking at doing a potluck at 5:30 if you would like to come. You do not have to be a member to come, but we welcome anyone and everyone to join us.
Are you now the
Yeah.
president?
Yeah, so we did elections. We did elections in our November meeting, and I was elected for the president and through the end of 2026. Katie DeVries was elected the vice president. Mary was elected our secretary, and our other officers will be elected in December.
So the meeting, I'm sorry, the Grange is December 6th, you said?
No, December 8th. December 6th is my birthday, though. So.
I knew something was going on that day. That's great, and great job in getting back up that running. That's fantastic. So thank you so much. We'll make a move to, do we have any other announcements?
I make a move to adjourn.
Okay, we have a second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great night, and we'll see you soon.
Bravo.